puppies. This is Melody Fletcher, author of Deliberate Receiving. Finally, the universe makes some freaking sense. And today's Q&A question focuses on negative emotions and when we might be done with them. This is a question that I get a lot, and so I'm actually just squishing all the questions together and not focusing on a single asker here. And that question is, when am I ever going to get to the point where I'm done with negative emotions and it's just all nirvana all the time, 24/7, 365? So here's the kind of bad news. You're never, ever, ever going to get to the point where you don't experience negative emotion. But before you kind of despair and throw yourself off a cliff, let me explain that, okay? So here's the deal. Negative emotions aren't actually bad things. They're more negative in the way that we call -1 a negative number. It's not a judgment call. -1 isn't worse somehow than +1. A negative emotion is an emotion that feels uncomfortable. And when you're really in tune and you've been doing this work for a while and you get sensitive enough to notice how you're feeling, they don't have to be so volatile, these emotions. It doesn't mean that you have to be super, super angry or full of rage or full of despair. It's more like the difference between having the kind of pain that you need morphine for or noticing that there's a pebble in your shoe. It's more annoying than it is anything. But you're always going to have that negative emotion because negative emotions are messengers that are letting you know that you've got some resistance. And resistance is when something is interfering with the energy of what you want. So you're focusing on something in a way that is interfering with what you want. And don't you want to know that? Don't you want to keep on knowing that? So as you go out into the world and you explore new things and you have new adventures, which of course you always want to have because otherwise you get super bored, you're always going to sort of have to fine tune how you're focusing because it's new and you're not yet sure how to do it. So as you're doing that, of course you want something to tell you when you're not quite focusing the way that you want. It's sort of like trying to turn off all your pain receptors and then going into a new environment and you don't know if you just bumped into something super hot or super sharp. You want to know that you've done that. But again, before you despair about this, remember that as you get more sensitive and as you release a lot of these big volatile beliefs, the discomfort of negative emotion is going to get a lot less and less and less, and you're going to notice it much more, much earlier on in the progression. And if you're not sure what progression I'm talking about, then get my book, Deliberate Receiving, Finally the Universe Makes Some Freaking Sense, because it explains exactly how a manifestation progresses from focus on up to physical manifestation. And this is the progression of how a physical manifestation actually comes to be, how an experience actually grows into being. And if you can catch that earlier on in the progression, so it doesn't have to be a huge manifestation, then you never have to experience a great deal of discomfort. But the negative emotion in and of itself is always going to be around. So I hope I've answered this question once and for all. If you find this content valuable, please consider sharing it with your social media friends or other people that you think might benefit from it. And if you'd like to join the discussion, then please find us on deliberatereceiving.com and join the Happy Shiny Puppy Army, where there's this amazing community of people who are just waiting to meet you. I will see you next time. Bye.